Welcome to the video on trigonometry. This is where we are going to learn how to use trigonometry to find a length in a right angled triangle. You're going to need to learn a new way to label your triangle in order to do trigonometry. It's different from Pythagoras. In this case, the long length is not C, the long length is H. That stands for the word hypotenuse, which means the longest side. Again, this is going to be opposite your right angle. Next we have O. O is the length of the triangle which is opposite your new angle, your curved angle here. And finally, we have A, adjacent. Adjacent means it's the length between the curved angle and your right angle here. So we've got these three new letters. H is the longest length, O is opposite your curved angle, and A is between the two angles, between your right angle and your curved angle. And this little circle here with a line through it is just the Greek symbol theta. This means angle. So anytime you see this symbol, just know that it means angle. Anytime you use trigonometry, you're going to have two sides involved and one angle involved. That's different from Pythagoras. Pythagoras just had three sides and no angles at all. So if you have an angle involved and two sides involved, which you will, that's a trigonometry question. Now these are the most important three words you're going to use for trigonometry. So, ka, and toa. So, ka, and toa. You'll notice that each of these three words, if you will, has an O and H, or an A and an H, or an O and an A. These stand for the three different combinations you can have. Because you're only going to have two sides, you can either have O and H, the opposite in the hypotenuse, which would be so, or you can have ka when you have the adjacent side and the hypotenuse side, or you could have toa when you have the opposite side and the adjacent side. One of these three you're going to have to choose. So let's look at a question and why you choose two sides and you can't have all three. You might be told that this length O is 20 meters. You might also be told that there's an angle of 30 degrees. That's how you'd know that the side was labelled O. And they ask you to find this long length here that's labelled H. Now you're told what O is. You're asked to find what H is. But A down the bottom here, that's not useful at all. You don't want to find it, you want to find H. And you're not told it because you're only told O. Therefore, we cross it out because it's not important. This allows us to choose which of these three words is going to help us solve the problem. We have O and we have H, therefore we're going to choose so, because that's the only one out of these three words that has the O and the H in it. Now you might be wondering, what is so, what is ka, and what is toa? These are just sayings which help you remember the formula, because you need a formula to help you solve these problems. So, ka, and toa just stand for triangles that you can use. Now the left-hand letter in each of these words is going to take the left-hand corner of the triangle. The right-hand letter is going to take the right-hand corner of the triangle. And the middle letter is going to take the top middle corner of the triangle. So when you've chosen so, ka, or toa, you're going to draw up one of these triangles with three sections. One for S, one for O, and one for H if it's so, and the same for ka or the same for toa. You'll also see that there are these little divided by signs and these little multiplication signs. If you have an O above an S, that means O divided by S. In the same way, if you have O divided by H, it means O divided by H. It's just like a fraction. The fraction of 8 over 16 means you have 8 divided by 16. So over the top means divided by. And in the same way as algebra, if you have two letters next to each other, it means times. That's a multiplication symbol. Now the last piece of information you need to know before you can solve this problem is what is S, what is C, and what is T? Because we know A, O, and H, they're the sides of the triangle. Well, S stands for sine angle. Now sine is just a button on your calculator. So look on your scientific calculator, you should see a button there. Next to that sine button, you should see the word cos, and that's what C stands for, cos angle. Remember, this little circle with a line through it just means angle. And finally, T is the last button of the three on your calculator. This stands for tan angle. So S is sine angle, that's a button on your calculator. C is cos angle, and T is tan angle. Now that we have all of this information, we understand these formulas, and we know what S, C, and T means, let's refer back to this question at hand. We were told that O is 20, We were told we want to find h, and we're told that the angle is 30 degrees. We've already picked that we're going to use so let's look at the SO triangle close up. In the SO triangle, I hope you remember what S stands for. It stands for sine angle. So let's put in sine of our angle. Our angle is 30 degrees, we were told that. Next, let's look at O. O is the length of 20. So instead of O, we'll put in the length of 20. And finally, H is what we're trying to find. So H, we can either leave it as it is because we don't know what it is, or you could call it question mark or X or whatever it happens to be labeled in the question. Now that we've filled in the sections of our triangle, your job is to cover up the thing you want to find. We want to find the question mark, so we cover it up with our hand. And then you're going to write question mark equals, or H equals if you've left it as H. Then that leaves you with a formula. You're left with 20 divided by sine 30. So just put that in your calculator, 20 divided by sine 30, and that's going to give you your answer. Now, if you try this one in your calculator and you don't get 40, check that your calculator is in degrees mode. Go up to the mode up the top, and if it says RAD for radians, you're in the wrong mode. Change it to degrees because that's going to stuff you up in these exams. But we've found our length. Our length H is 40. That's good. Now let's look at one more question. If we have another triangle here, which has an angle of 20 degrees, has a length of 9 meters up the top, and asks us to find this length on the left-hand side, how do we do it? Remember, our first step was to label each side of the triangle. Now we know this 9 meters is labeled A, because that's between the right angle and the curved angle. We also know this question mark, that's labeled O, because O is opposite this curved angle. And finally, H is our longest length. That's the length which is opposite our right angle, our 90-degree angle. Now one of these lengths we're not going to need, either A, O, or H. So we're told A, so we want that, that's useful. We need to find O, so we need that, so we can actually solve the problem. We don't need H. We're not told it, we don't want to find it, therefore we don't care about it. That means we're left with O and A. Can you spot which out of SO, KA, or TOA has an O and an A in it? It's TOA. Well done. Now I'm hoping you remember what TOA stands for. You're going to have to put TOA in that big triangle. Where T is on the left-hand side, because it's on the left-hand side of the word. O is in the middle up the top, at the middle corner, because that's in the middle of the word, and A is on the right-hand side corner, because that's on the right-hand side of the word. So let's plug in what we know. T stands for tan angle. So instead of T, let's put in our tan angle, and our angle was 20 degrees. Once we've put in our tan angle, what else do we know? We know that A is 9 meters. So instead of A, let's put in 9 meters, because that's something else we know. And we're told to find O. So instead of O, let's put a question mark, because we're going to find that. Now that we've written up our TOA triangle, we can use this as a formula to solve what we want. We just have to cover up the thing we want to find. So covering up our O, what we want to find, that's going to give us a formula of tan 20 times by 9. And if you put tan 20 times 9 in your calculator, you'll get an answer of 3.3 meters. That's how long the length O is. Your steps, therefore, were firstly to label each side, A, O, and H. You crossed out the side you didn't want to know, which in this case was H. You chose out of SO, KA, and TOA, and we chose TOA. You drew your TOA triangle. Then you put in what you knew. You knew T was tan 20. You knew that A was 9. And we covered up the one we wanted to find so we could solve the problem. We covered up O. Now, let's look at what you need to know. First step, always when you get a problem like this, you label the sides A, O, and H. We know this one's O because it's opposite our 60-degree curved angle. We know this one's H because it's opposite our 90-degree angle. And we know the bottom one is A because it's between our right angle and our curved angle. Once you've labeled these sides, cross out the side that you don't want to find. Now we're told what A is, that's 7 meters. We want to find H because that's the question mark. We don't want to find O, we don't know O so it doesn't help us, so let's cross that one out. Then you're going to have to pick which one out of SO, KA, or TOA is going to help you solve this problem. Now given that we have A and H, we're going to use KA because that's the only one of the three that has an A and an H. Now that we know that we're choosing KA, let's draw up our KA triangle. So that is a C on the left-hand side, A in the middle, and H on the right-hand side. We're going to then put in what we know. We know that C stands for cos angle, and our angle is 60. So let's put in cos 60. We know that we're trying to find H. H is our question mark, so let's put that one in. And we were told that A is 7 meters long. So instead of A, let's put 7 meters. Now hopefully you remember, cover up what you're trying to find, because that's going to get you your formula. So covering up the question mark, that gives us a formula of 7 divided by cos 60. So let's put that in our calculator. 7 divided by cos 60 should give you an answer of 14 meters for H. There's our answer. Now, how are we going to do one of these in a word question? Let's look. Here we have a balloon. It's tied by a rope which is labelled T to A. Now the wind is really strong. It causes the rope TA to make a straight line. That's convenient. And the balloon is 40 meters above the ground. Now this rope makes an angle of 26 degrees with the ground. Can we calculate the length of the rope based on what we've got? Well, now this has two sides that are involved. The length of the rope, which is what we want to find, and the 40 meters above the ground. It also has an angle. So we're bang on for a trigonometry question. So let's label our sides. It's always our first step. H is the longest side, the length of the rope. O is the side opposite your curved angle, opposite this 26 degrees. And A is in between your two angles, in between your right angle and your curved angle. Now, which of these lengths do we not need? We want to find H. We want to find the length of the rope. We're told O, but A doesn't help us at all. We don't want to find it and we don't know it. So let's cross it out. Now we choose. Is it so, is it car, or is it toa? Now we're left with O and H. So is our best bet, because so is the only one of these three with O and H. Now that we know so, let's draw up a so triangle with S, O, and H at each of the points. Now let's sub in. We know S stands for sine angle. So we put in sine of 26 because 26 is our angle. We also know that O is 40 meters because we're told that in the question. It's 40 meters above the ground. So let's put that into our triangle. Finally, we're trying to find H, the length of the rope. So let's put in a question mark to show that that's what we're trying to find. Now that we've got our triangle all sorted out, we can use it to have a formula to solve for H. So let's cover up what we're trying to find and know that our H is going to equal 40 divided by sine 26. Let's put that in our calculator to get our answer of 91.2 meters. Therefore, the length of the rope, which is TA, is 91.2 meters. And you've solved this using trigonometry.
And that's everything you need to know from this video.
Good luck with your study.